Hey, welcome to Real Talk Season 2, Episode 90. I'm Todd, this is AJ, and we're back.
Hello, how are you?
The reason AJ is so mopey is because before this, we recorded about 10 minutes worth of the episode, and before we realized that the cord that went from our soundboard to the camera was not plugged in.
It's true.
So now he is sad.
It's very true.
Which is going to continue to add to the Todd's mean and AJ's sad.
It's not true.
But that's what why he didn't give his normal hey or any of that. So we'll see how this goes. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not real positive this is going to go great. We had a pretty good conversation going.
We did.
And anytime you try to imitate something that happened organically, it's pretty
it's
pretty
gone.
impossible to do. So, guys, I feel like I'm repeating myself, even though I'm not. This is the first time I heard it. I want to let you guys know that, hey, we do hear your guys' thoughts, concerns, suggestions as far as the set. We've heard everything from, making sure that we're getting the light and the color right every week, the same, which, is a big goal of mine, is that we do that. Lighting, sound, I want to tell you right now, these are not going to be our mics long term, but I hate the lapel mics. I hate them. We don't wear a suit jacket every week, so I don't know whether the type of clip we need doesn't exist or how they do it in the big movie companies, But we've done everything from taping it to our flesh, to our shirt. We've bought different clips. It is annoying. It does not feel comfortable. You got wires coming off of you. It's just, so we're trying to do the best we can until we get some new mic stands and some new things that we're going to invest in when that comes. This all costs money.
Truth.
And we certainly don't bring in as much as we put out. Put it that way. And this ministry, Real Talk, or this podcast, whichever you want to view it as, is supported by our church, who does a lot of other things. And, we do the best we can with what we have. We're not a multi-million-dollar church. I can tell you that right now. We're not a $1 million one. We're not a hundreds, thousands dollar church. So we're doing the best we can. But please keep giving us those suggestions and feedback. We really do love them. Same with kind of the feel of what this is going to be. Sometimes it's silly, sometimes it's not. It's still growing and changing and evolving, and we're trying to figure out, along with you guys, what this show is going to look like moving forward. We're so thankful for those of you that watch it and listen, and kind of both, because some people do both. What we've learned is, and we mentioned this again, I don't know why I'm saying mention it because you didn't hear it, but we used to think that a lot of these views came from our church, but they don't. They come from, how many states?
I believe we're currently sitting at like 22. Like, we're close to hitting halfway.
Yeah.
7 countries.
7 countries. So a couple things. One is a shame on you to our church. Love you guys. But we'd love to have you start watching. But a big shout out to all those people that don't even attend our church but are regular listeners to Real Talk. Man, we are so thankful for that. And we take that seriously. So, Real Talk started out as an opportunity to talk about life, God, the Bible, and everything in between. And it still is. But it used to use a link that you guys probably see either on the video or the podcast or YouTube. www.theremnant.life/real, REAL. So it's www.theremnant.life/real-talk. Click it, go down to the box that says submit a question, put your topic, thought, concern, question in, hit submit, and it goes into a form fillable box. Couldn't find you if we tried.
Yep, that's right.
So why did I rush through all that? Because we spent, like I said, 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's
So
frustrating.
do you want to talk about your sadness so we can get this over with so people don't think I'm like, because they're going to notice.
Yes, so please don't think it's Todd. It's my own self-loathing. I'm just really sad and frustrated because I know we were having a really good conversation, and I just so happened to look over at you guys and notice that the cord wasn't in the camera. So I was like, "This not a single word is being heard right now." So that was really sad. So
yeah, and the thing is, this has happened before, which is part of the frustration.
Yes. So that's why I am. If you can probably tell, I'm noticeably not as peppy.
Better turn the pep on.
Yes. So sorry.
It's not their fault.
Sorry ahead of time. Yes, not your guys' fault. So bear with me if you you please?
Same here. Apparently I never look sad. I always look angry. I'm not angry. I'm, bummed a little bit too because like I said, and it's hard to catch fire again or catch
Yes.
lightning, I think is the word.
You can't.
Bottle lightning.
Yeah, like lightning doesn't strike twice or in
Yeah.
the same spot or whatever it's called.
Yeah. Except for those guys that hits like 10 times. Have you ever heard of those guys?
I have. There's like a guy who I think I heard he got struck by lightning, went in the hospital, and came out and got struck again or something.
That's weird.
I know,
right? Yeah, exactly. So, we have a couple ideas. Real Talk Live is coming back. That may end up looking more like this, where it's you and I, more of a talk show with our guest here. And then this, as in the web series, podcast, for those that are watching it visually, for those watching it, you will see maybe a table and more of your typical podcast feel.
Yeah, and differentiate between the two.
Yeah.
It's kind of what we talked about before.
Aesthetically.
Yeah, that's right. Give more of an aesthetic to it.
So we're going to go back into a topic we briefly touched on. Again, you don't know that. I got to quit.
No.
So we're going to dive into something that is very pertinent to where we are at today.
Mm-hmm.
Timely, you might say. And that is the election. One of the topics that we've gotten the most feedback on the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks really, because we did it the week before.
That's right.
The election, is we discussed an article by John Piper on the election in which he pretty much said he wasn't going to vote for any big candidate. And you'll have to go read it. Watch last week's episode the week before. I don't have the name of it on me off the top of my head.
It's 3 words. Three words.
That being said, we disagreed with it.
Yes, we did.
Felt like a lot of respect for John Piper, admire him as a brother and a father in the faith, and I just disagree with him. There's no perfect candidate, but we feel like that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take part in the election. And so here we are, 2 days, I think exactly 14 days from the election.
Yes.
And we are in a place right now in our country where things are pretty wild. We still do not, and I'm going to say this right here, right now, may not be popular. We do not have an official winner of the election.
We don't.
And if you believe that, then you are believing what you are being told by the media. And we'll kind of go back into it. We'll go into that in a second because you have some thoughts on that I think are good for people to know. But you guys need to understand that, truthfully, this is factual. There has not been a winner of the election called. Okay, the news, the big news programs, whether it's Fox, whether it's CNN, whether it's MSNBC, whether it's all these, they do not determine the winner of the presidential election. They don't get to call it.
Truth.
They're projecting things that, for one, doesn't even become official. The results of an election do not become official until I believe December 8th.
I did not know that.
And on top of that, they're still counting ballots in some countries. States. There's recounts going on, and we have what we are calling right now. Okay, there are some pretty serious allegations of fraud.
Yes.
Okay. Now, before we get into it, Todd, you tell me because there's no fraud. Here's the facts. Okay, and I say that because I've been attacked for this. The facts are: we know for a fact that there have been allegations and some proof of deceased people voting. We know that happens in every election, but on a widespread scale. Illegal votes where people took advantage of the mail-in ballots. So, for instance, even where we live, there were 5 blank ballots sent to one address. Okay, could have easily taken those, and turned those in,
absolutely,
for whoever we wanted. And then on top of that, we have this software or this voting software issue in which factual. For instance, in Michigan, we know 6,000 votes were switched from one candidate to the other. In this case, from Biden to Trump. From Trump to Biden. And so what's happening now is not just the Trump campaign, though President Trump's campaign is taking legal action.
Yes.
To look into some of this, but other individuals and organizations are, taking legal measures to investigate it. And what we kind of wanted to talk about, I think it's valid to talk about, is the idea why there's so much pushback against investigating these things.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, I think you had a good point about the media in general and sort of how they're portraying a lot of this.
Yes. So when it comes to media, when media first started, there's no bias. It was just to give people information.
Yeah, they were supposed to report
exactly.
Facts.
Yeah, what is happening.
Mm-hmm.
And as time went on, in every organization, including media, there is a figurehead. There is someone who's at the top. That they're the one who make the decisions. They make the calls. They have a stance on something. They do.
It's true. Yeah.
And in the midst of that stance, especially in today's media, if that stance leans a certain way, they're going to portray their media that way. And so that's why it's hard to trust, the big media outlets these days.
Because listen, regardless, we're not going to hide from this. We're both conservatives. We'd be considered conservatives politically.
Yeah.
Which I never knew. But we
Me
both
either.
come from liberal backgrounds as far as the way we were raised and all of that. So, but as we've both found over time, we're conservatives. So we're not going to hide that from you. But even if it weren't, if it were the other way around, if we were looking at news, all the news organizations were slanted conservatively, I would intellectually consider that when I looked at what's being reported.
Right.
And the reality is, I think no one would disagree with this, that the major media outlets are liberally biased.
Absolutely.
And so because of that, listen, stay with me, folks, before you get all up in arms.
Yep.
Is put out your political stance for a second.
Sure.
We need to understand that these news outlets, which you brought up, they have a bias and they have an agenda.
Yes.
So they have a benefit to saying it's over, right? And you used the big word that I think is important.
I did. When it comes to them, like I said, that figurehead wanting to control and put a stance on, where they're leaning towards, that's propaganda.
That's true.
I know I was talking about how, like, what did Hitler do? Is it on that kind of level? I don't know. Is it? But, that's what Hitler did, is he had his propaganda and he had people follow it, and the rest is history. But, that all started somewhere, So, yes, I look at it as it's a form of propaganda. They are taking their stance and they are putting it as bias to make people think that way.
Yeah, and I actually looked up
without providing all the facts.
That's good, right? The definition is information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view.
Misleading.
The dissemination of propaganda as a political strategy. So here's the thing. What I think AJ's point is, guys, listen, the very fact that a lot of people out there believe this election is over, it's done.
Yeah.
So let's proves that it's propaganda, because facts are not being reported.
Not even close.
Right?
There's so many firsthand accounts of people who've been ballot workers. There's so many people. There's been arrests. There's been small arrests made of people running away with ballots. It's insane.
Well, and before we even get to that, so say there's no, who knows? We'll find out. We'll get to that in a second. But the very fact that here is a fact. The fact is the election is not, the results, it's not finalized.
Yeah, even taking all that
just
out. Yeah.
that. And the fact that I've talked to numerous people who are like, "Oh, it's over, right?" No, it's not. They're not. It's not official. So the very fact that you have been misled, or we have been misled to believe that something that is we have been told something that is factually not true is fact, proves the bias, right? And here's where that becomes dangerous. Let me why this is a concern to me, regardless of political affiliation.
Yeah.
So let's just take that fact. If you are being told, okay. And all you're going by is what CNN or whoever tells you, right? BBG, what makes something up, the company. And they say, hey, the election's over. In this case, Biden won.
Yep.
All right? It's official. And all of a sudden you hear Trump coming out with all these things, and they tell you he's threatening to refuse to leave the White House and all these things. What does that make you believe? Now, remember, you already told, I told you the election is over.
Yep.
So Trump is doing what? If the election is over, what is he doing?
He's trying to steal the election away from Biden. He
is breaking the law.
Yeah, he's breaking the law.
Not responding.
That's right.
The people.
He is. Oh, dang it! What's the word?
Rebelling? I don't know.
Yeah, similar. Not reject. Yes, I think rebel is actually the word.
Yeah,
he's rebelling against the voice of the people,
the Constitution, all of that.
All that. Yeah.
Versus, let's say it a different way. Okay, here's a story. So we have a really close election in which the news media outlets have said that Biden won based on votes, and it has the necessary electoral whatever. However, not all the votes have been finalized in each state. There's a recount in Georgia, probably going to be a recount in a couple other states, and there's investigations of voter fraud and software malfunctions, whether it's intentional or not, we don't know yet. And President Trump wants to investigate all of those, and the Congress wants to investigate all of those before the time that the election results are finalized, so we can make sure that every legal ballot was counted and that we have an election that is free from outside influence, interference, and what is the word? Influence and I don't know, manipulation.
Yeah.
And if assuming Biden won fair and square,
Then he's
President
the winner.
Trump's gonna, he's the winner. He's gonna concede. He's already said that.
Right.
And walk away. Is that a different message than Trump is fighting against the?
It's a widely different answer.
Yeah. So
widely different situation.
If you're a person that just goes by what the media tells you and you assume that they have no bias, you can get manipulated.
Yes, you can.
And then it changes the way you view everything. It changes the way you view what he says. Changes the way you view what maybe your congressman says.
It changes the way you view people who support that person.
Yeah, because they're
it
rebels.
goes wide. Yeah,
they're haters, and they don't believe in the law and all these things.
Oh, yeah.
So I think that's one of the things we've kind of been wrestling with is man, you know this. I came out on social media, which I'm not a big fan of, a few weeks ago, and just said, hey, regardless, man, we should take any allegations of fraud seriously and something that's big, and at least investigate them. And I said, this is a nonpartisan issue for me.
Yes,
if it were the other way around and they were saying Trump won and Biden saying there's a bunch of fraud and we need to look into it, I would go, yeah, we should, because we want to take that serious. And boy, I got jumped by a few people. A lot of people didn't, and when I asked them, and when I told them that, they just get all grumpy and so emotional.
It's because it's for the sake of our freedom and what we are as Americans. It's not about Democrat or Republican.
It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be.
No.
You should be, if you're the most ardent Biden supporter, for instance, don't you want to make sure that there's no question to whether or not he is the rightful winner of the election?
Right. It's just like if you flipped it. I like that you said that. If you flipped it, if
I would want to know if it were the other way around.
Sure.
So we don't have any complaints. There's no, all that stuff. Certainly, President Trump won legally the last election, and boy, he won legally, and people still said, "Not my president." So, can you imagine someone becoming president with questions as to not the authenticity, the validity of their winning?
Right.
I don't know, man. Something to think about. So, I guess, guys, what we're saying is make sure. Also, it's funny that you're branded a conspiracy theorist if you actually are just saying, hey, there's some real stuff going on.
People doubt. It's funny, man. I feel like people will go their lives watching, for example, this is just an example, but they'll like watch TV shows of all these crazy things happening behind the scenes of whatever it may be. You got your government shows like House of Cards, whatever it's called, that was on Netflix or something, with all the corruption and all that. Like, how do you think that can't be real? It can be. I think people doubt the evil of the world. They really do.
It's so true. And there's an arrogance that it can never happen here.
Yes.
That U.S. arrogance, like, it's impossible. Come on, man. Like, I just get sad because people have just been, and I really am going to say this, I think have been brainwashed.
Yes.
And they use, I don't know, man. It's just,
we have been conditioned as people
to
not think outside of the box.
Dude, that's a good word.
We have been conditioned to stay inside of this little box that's been created since we started public school. Like from the moment you got into kindergarten all the way until you graduated college.
The teacher.
Yes, you were taught to not question anything. It's all factual. Don't look outside of this. If you do,
factual.
We're gonna penalize
you. Get an F.
Yep.
Suspended.
Yeah.
I think that's good, man. I think the education system does. I don't know. We've been taught to trust.
Yes.
Because something's on TV, it's real.
Yep.
Because they tell us it is. But we'll say it happens in other countries. We'll say propaganda is real in other countries.
Sure.
But not here. So I guess if you want to say, well, what's Real Talk Guys saying? All we're saying is, don't you want to know, if there was fraud? Wouldn't you want to know? And why would we not, as a people, American people, want to just it's not like it's too, we're past the time, it's too late or anything like that. Why would we not, while we still have time, want to take these allegations seriously and let the legal system play out?
Yes.
Right? I mean, I just don't. To me, it's so irrational to
It's
not.
because people don't believe we actually think that.
That's fair. Like we just care about overturning the results.
Yeah, because we support the other party
Yeah.
that hasn't won, so they think that we're just we want to try to win in any way possible.
No, I wouldn't want that. You don't know. Like that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
That isn't true. I do want. Here's the real reality.
Essentially, it's based on there's no honor anymore.
Do you? That's so. Yeah, that's a whole topic in itself. Do you think? This is something I started thinking that's scary. Do you think a lot of, let's say, Biden? I don't want to say if you support Biden, we're not attacking you, but do you think some people have literally? What's the word I'm looking for? They are literally willing to accept fraud in the election just to prevent Trump. Like they're like, yeah, I don't care as long as Trump's not president. And they actually if they're honest, that's what they think.
Mm-hmm.
Like they don't care if it's fake. They don't care if they're or not fake, if it's fraud.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care because they hate President Trump that much that they just want him out. And that's why they're okay with it. Does that make sense? Do you think some people are like that? They're like, who cares? And
that's probably majority.
See, that's crazy to me because
what is politics?
That's one of the things I said, right? Corruption might benefit your party now.
Yeah.
It could not the next time,
mm-hmm.
right? So say that there was real fraud and we don't find out and I didn't win this election. This is just a hypothetical.
Okay.
And you're the other party. Well, the law didn't protect us, so now we just got to cheat better.
Yep.
Right?
As soon as
again, I don't think it's necessarily even a party thing. It could be individuals. I don't know.
100% agree with you. Like as soon as honor is thrown out the window, it's chaos. It's whoever, like you said, whoever can cheat better, whoever and I feel like that's why do you think it's funny? Because like, why do you think the term has been coined as like, oh, you're playing politics? Yeah. Like, where'd it come from? You know, like this. I think it kind of stemmed from that. And that's probably why people are so okay with it because that's how they view it. That's politics. It's just like when Kamala Harris was on an interview and said, "I was just debating against Joe Biden when I brought up all that stuff." When now she's his VP. You know,
but essentially what he's saying is she trashed him in the primaries and said he was all of these things, and then she believed these allegations of sexual misconduct against him, and now she said it was just a debate.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah,
I didn't mean it. I don't know. Again, guys, we're not. We're just saying this, and certainly there are Republicans, just as guilty. In fact, this just came out that are guilty of being deceptive, and so we're not trying to attack anyone's Democrat. We're just talking about why do we not want truth?
Mm-hmm.
Why do we not want truth? I just don't get it.
Yeah,
it shows the brokenness of humanity. Tying it back to God, Christianity tells us the fact that there's a problem with humanity. And in ourselves, we just have this evil in us. We do.
It's okay to have an opinion, and it's okay to have a stance. It's okay to be behind that. But as soon as the overarching process of how that becomes fair is broken, I think it's much bigger than that. I think that's why you said that, how it's a nonpartisan issue and all that.
It is a nonpartisan issue. Should be.
Yeah.
Should be an American issue. Should be a person issue.
There you go. I like that.
The United States, you should care. Mm-hmm. You should care that, and I still believe this. I still believe in a lot of that our country is a city on a hill. I don't care what the world wants to tell us. We've been given an incredible position and platform in this world right now, a place where people can come and, no, it's not perfect. There isn't a perfect place, but have the opportunity to pursue a life.
Yep.
And boy, I don't think any of us should want it to change from that.
No.
This leads me to, so this election has shown me, I think you and I talked about, the natural inherent evil of humanity and both sides, the hate, right, from both sides and all this. So this leads me to a question we got asked.
Okay.
Via our Real Talk link. And it is, I think it's a perfect segue. We have another one after this, but it says, do you guys ever feel, so question one, do you guys ever feel overwhelmed by the evil and sin of this world? Do you have a recent example? And the person says, I accidentally saw a video of an Antifa member knocking out an old man. Before I knew it, I was crying and having a borderline panic attack. It just broke my heart. I was overwhelmed by the cruelty. How does the Lord do it? If I felt that much grief at his children doing this, how much does he feel? So I've seen this too. Antifa members attacked some elderly people after this one MAGA march. I don't know if you saw any of this.
I heard about it.
In front of children. So that's not the point. I think the only reason it segues in is because of the politics of it.
Right.
But the real question is, do you guys ever feel overwhelmed by the evil and sin of this world? Do you have a recent example? So that was their recent example.
Right. I absolutely feel overwhelmed by it. You know what's crazy is like I don't even need the world to be overwhelmed by it because I know how much I suck.
Yeah, man.
Like when I think about the world, yeah, it is very broken and there's a lot of sin in it and it can be overwhelming. But man, I'm overwhelmed just by how much I can be sinful. You know,
Yeah.
I had a moment a couple weeks ago where I was very sinful, and then I even tried to cover it up. I didn't even want to be truthful about it at first. Like there's there it is right there. You take that and then
You take out the Holy Spirit from people who don't have the Holy Spirit.
sure.
Yeah.
Or even that, or even just take that situation and what happened there and you multiply it by millions of people.
I think it is terrifying, man. I think I'm with you. I am overwhelmed. We've had many talks. Me, you, Fun Turn, production guy Blake, Hobo Grant that doesn't hang out with us anymore.
Hobo Grant.
We only call him that because he doesn't. He's never around. He's transient, walking around. But we've sat around and talked about. It is overwhelming. It is overwhelming, the amount of hate, the evil. Because you can say what you want about politics. It is evil, and I'll say that to anybody's face. It is evil to hit anybody when they're not looking.
Yes.
Because of a political view. It's disgusting.
Yes.
And yeah, I see it. I've seen evil even in the post that I wrote, the nonpartisan post where I got mocked and attacked.
Yes.
You saw it, and I'm sitting there going, no offense to the guy that did that, but I'm going, what in the world, dude? Like, you literally went on a personal attack.
Yep.
Because I questioned the validity of an election's results, and by question I mean I said we should at least look into it.
Yes.
And people it's insanity, man. It's evil. So am I overwhelmed with it at times? Absolutely. And I go, to me, this election, COVID, we talked about this at the beginning of COVID. I don't know if you remember. You can go watch one of our first episodes.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
we said
Back in March.
this is going to show the cracks in the world, and then we even said the church.
Yep.
And it's
here. It's 100% here.
It's happened.
We've never been more divisive.
It's unbelievable. So, I think it's funny when people are like, man, I want the, Walking Dead or something. If it happened, I would do this and that. It's like, man, so many. You wouldn't do good things. A lot of people would do evil and get away with evil. And
it's funny how accurate Hollywood is sometimes.
Oh man, it's creepy. Yeah. So am I overwhelmed with it? Yes. But I'll tell you what. Instead of letting it make you panic, remember this: that God told you this was going to happen.
Yep.
And that God has promised that He is going to fix it. And that when these moments happen, when I feel overwhelmed with it, I always remember the verse from Revelation that the end is going to say this: I will wipe away every tear, because there will be no more pain or crying or death anymore, for the old things have passed away, and behold, the new has come. God is in. How beautiful. How much love does God have for His creation, even the people in that hate? That He is giving opportunities to turn back to Him. And that it's
agape, man.
It is. And, don't get overwhelmed by it. I love the verse that says, don't be overwhelmed by evil, but overcome evil with good. And I think that's relevant today. In the midst of this darkness, let your light, and I don't mean to be corny, I mean this truly. If you're out there and you're a believer, let your light shine brighter.
Yep.
Because it's, and I mean this, it's in the darkest moments that even a match looks really bright.
Yep.
And if we can all be matches, man, we can make a difference.
That's right.
So
it's really good.
Yeah, it's a crazy time.
It really is a crazy time.
Right on camera. I'm so sorry, guys.
I'm going to sneeze.
I wanted to warn them so they could run away from the...
Take out the headphone for a second.
Yeah.
You did good. You got way far away. Probably
tried.
wouldn't even pick it up that much because we're using these now. So
I tried.
I like what they said about, they said, like, I don't know how God does it. And that's why I brought up, like, agape love. It's because, like, we don't do agape love. But God does all the time.
If you guys don't know what agape love is, so in the Bible talks about, I believe it's 5, off the top of my head, 5 different types of love. In our language, we use one word to describe a lot of different kinds of love. What do you mean to others different? Okay, well, what's the love I have for you? That's different than the love I would have for my wife.
Yep.
It's different than the love I would have for, I don't know, my mother, all these types of
Yep.
things. So, one of the words, when it says God is love, and the love is patient, love is kind, when the Bible describes God's love, it describes this agape, this kind of love that is loving, independent of the other person's reaction or response.
Mm-hmm.
To love someone knowing they may not love you back is a beautiful thing. And
Yes.
it's the kind of love God has for us,
All the time.
and it's pretty surreal.
It is, because we don't
No,
we don't
for sure.
replicate that in any sense, hardly ever.
Although I'll tell you,
We catch glimpses of it, but
that's good. And I think that's a great point, because what's beautiful, and it kind of goes back to the point of being a match, is in these moments when you see good things happening, it's so much brighter in a way.
Yeah.
It does point you to God when you see people do crazy things.
it's really good.
Moving on. Also, man, to let you know, we got some feedback that's like, hey, someone literally suggested AJ should do the show by himself.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they weren't insulting me. It was more of giving you the opportunity to talk.
I couldn't do this by myself. I'm gonna let you know right now.
Or to push you, whatever.
Yeah, no way.
But I just want to encourage you. People
Oh.
value what you think, man.
Well, thanks. And if I ever tried to, you guys, if you ever watch Real Talk Live, I cannot carry your show to save my life. If there's been any time where he had to leave, it was a disaster. So.
That's not true. But I wanted to encourage you.
Thanks,
so,
man.
next question we have.
Okay.
How does one find discipline when he/she has little desire for it? What do you believe is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves that hinders our walk? Our Christian faith.
How does he/she find it? You said discipline?
Yeah.
If you don't have any desire
for it,
you won't find it.
So I think they're also talking about like reading the Bible, because I think it ties in with the sort of disciplines.
If you have no desire for it, you won't do it. That's what I'm going to say.
So then how do you do it when you don't have that desire? Because like you and I, we've both gone through moments where we don't want to read the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. So what do you do?
Okay. I guess
I guess that's
should probably
probably how
scale
they're
it down,
asking.
because I'm thinking big picture. Yes. If you have moments where okay. So if you know that you believe in God and you love God, yes, that's good. As long as you know that, yeah, there will be times where you feel like you don't want to do things. I think if you tell someone, they can help you. I think if you say, man, I don't feel like reading the Bible, or hey, I don't feel like praying, they're going to go, well, that's a lie. You should do that because it's going to help you. Mm-hmm. If you don't talk about it, you probably won't do it, because you're just going to let the lies, like you said, the lies in your head overcome, and then you just sit in it. I think that, telling somebody and having people around you to encourage you in that, if you have people around you and you tell them that and they just go, oh, I'm sorry, like that's not going to really help a whole lot. But people who are willing to step out of their own comfort zones to help you, I think that's really huge. Being willing to pray for you in that moment, being willing to tell you, hey, read this. Have someone who's willing to send you stuff if like you're being, stubborn, whatever it may be, So, yeah.
It's good. Yeah, I like that. Having people that you can share that with.
Yes.
I think for me, when discipline, and I think maybe that's why they didn't tie it to faith.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they did, but it wasn't just faith. They didn't say just your spiritual discipline. They said discipline. I think for me, I think it's the same. This is why I challenge me. It's the same. Why do you go to work when you don't feel like going to work most of the time?
There's an incentive.
Yeah, I think there's an incentive, and I think you understand that the benefit of it outweighs that temporary discomfort. So I think that applies to our faith too, right? So there are times that I pray and read the Bible when I don't feel like it, because God told me to, and because I understand that the benefit of that, even if I don't feel the benefit in the moment.
That's right. You were able to tip that scale.
Yeah. So truthfully, that's one of the things I do. The other thing is sometimes I do it just literally out of obedience. So I do it because if I say he's God, he told me to do this, I don't feel like doing it. Okay, so if he was standing here, would I literally look at him and say, no, I'm not going to, I don't feel like doing that?
Yeah, that's so good, because I don't think anybody thinks that way,
Yeah.
including me sometimes. I don't.
Like if he was standing there saying, read your Bible, would you go, I don't feel like it? I don't think you would, right?
No, but we do.
Yeah.
That's what's weird.
So with that, those are a couple things that help me in those moments. And also that applies to the way I approach discipline in my daily life. You and I've said this to you guys many times. My motto, one of the ones I try to instill in some of our Remnant House guys, is do hard things. Yeah. And doing hard things in life. So what does that mean? It means working out when you don't want to work out. It means Having the hard conversation, we don't have the hard conversation. It means answering the phone when you don't want to answer the phone. It means, going into your wife's, going into the bedroom when your wife's upset and you would much rather sit out and play video games, right? It means do hard things. Why? One, there's a benefit in the moment, but there's a benefit long term. You're conditioning yourself to do things that you don't want to do.
It's so
because
true.
you know they need to be done. So I think I approach that in life, and that's advice I give anyone. Practice doing little things that are hard in preparation for the big things.
Yes.
So set your alarm for 15 minutes earlier than you need to get up, and then do it. And I'm serious. And that's stupid. Why? Because you're training yourself to do things you don't want to do. You're training yourself to be uncomfortable in the short term. Take cold showers.
I was about to mention
this is such a dumb one. This is one I've told you guys,
Yep.
right? Get in and take a cold shower for 2 minutes. Well, that's in the morning. That's miserable. Absolutely. That's the reason. Because then when the real stuff comes, I'm telling you guys, look this up. Even psychologists and stuff would tell you that was point to benefits of this, of practicing doing hard things in the short term.
Yep.
In preparation for the moments in life that are real, when you really need the ability to move forward when it's hard. That's just some advice that I would encourage you guys to do, and I think it shows itself. I've seen it in these guys, even in my own life. Okay, I'll say it in my own life, but maybe you think I'm biased. I've definitely seen it in my own life.
Yeah.
But I've seen it in you guys too. The more you've done that, the more we've
been
grown.
glimpses.
Yeah, for sure. You don't give yourself credit. So I want to answer the second part of the question. Bring it back to you. He said, "What do you think is he or she said, what do you think is the biggest lie that hinders our walk, our Christian walk? What is the biggest lie we tell ourselves?"
It doesn't matter.
Oof. You want to fill that out? What do you mean?
It doesn't matter because this is how I feel. It doesn't matter because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't matter because I'd rather do this. Me. I feel like this. Well, I want to do that. It's always about I instead of him.
That's good, man. That's good.
We care about ourselves a lot more than we give ourselves credit.
Guys, yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with that, and I also think there's a lie for me sometimes is that God's not going to come through for me.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. That shows itself even in the things He tells me to do. Well, I know You told me to do this, God, but You're not going to come through, so I need to make sure I have a different plan. Right?
Backup plan.
Yeah, and that goes in a lot of ways. So, say you see that attractive woman. You're married, and you see that attractive woman, and you're like, I don't feel seen or loved. I feel lonely today. I feel this. I can't overcome this lust. Maybe it's just physical, and so you give in, right? Why? What is really happening there? You don't believe God.
No.
You don't believe He's going to come through.
No.
The verse that says He will give you what you need to get out of that temptation, or you don't believe that even though you may feel lonely that day, that if you resist, that He's going to come through, and He's, all those kinds of things.
This is really good conversation. I like this a lot because Funturn and I actually had a really good conversation about this because him and I were on the same page, but it felt like we weren't on the same page. And it was because I was trying to get the point across that we literally have the power of the Holy Spirit, which is the same power that Jesus Christ had to overcome anything. We have that. We could be like Jesus. We really can. We literally can do that. And I think he was making it. I think he was thinking I was trying to say like we are Jesus. We're not, but we have the power to be,
to do what, to choose right and do what He does,
right. And so, is it possible to be perfect? No, because we already weren't perfect. We already messed up, but we can. And stick with me. But like when you think about it, tomorrow's a new day. You can be perfect that day. You really can when you think about it. If you have the power to do that, will we do it? Probably not. But you do. The power is there.
And I think that's what makes grace so beautiful. Is the fact that we could and we fail, and He still loves us and doesn't give up on us.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. I
think you should approach faith with that kind of confidence, even when you do mess up, which we don't. That's why we put ceilings on our faith where you can only go so far.
Because we're imperfect.
Yes.
We use that as an excuse almost. Yeah, that's good.
And that's why the crashes are so hard in our lives, because we don't have that confidence and grace. We like it's like they're separate.
It's good, man. That's good. I agree. So I think that those are our answers to that question. Great question, by the way.
Yeah, I love it.
I'll check one more time to make sure something didn't come in last minute. But other than that, do you have any thoughts or?
Um,
Closing thoughts, etc.
just thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you bearing with the situation at hand because I know, I know that hopefully I was able to get at least a little more peppier or whatever. But I love you guys. This is for you. This is to spread the good news of the gospel. This is to let people know that they haven't gone too far. This is to let people know that hey, you are loved even when you don't feel like it. So if you're part of this ministry by watching or listening, please share it. Share this video, share this podcast with somebody who you think would benefit. Because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's not about Todd. It's about Jesus.
Amen.
So and if you're on, if that's what you're about, then share it. So love you guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I would echo his statements. I don't really need to say much about that. It'll be interesting to see if we get canceled because of what we talked about at the beginning. Get canceled because we don't care. We were never big enough to be canceled, I don't think. So, hey, we hope you guys heard our heart in a lot of this.
Yeah.
Today's episode, I think you did a good job coming out of it. Man, I was a little down too. I know, boy, it was frustrating to start, but we try to be real with you guys about where we're at. Help us out, guys. We missed your crazy questions and your crazy topics. What are the things you're afraid to ask your pastor? How about that?
That's good.
If you're at a different church, what are you afraid to ask your pastor about God, your own life, the Bible, anything like that? What's that question that you're like, man, this doesn't make sense? This is your opportunity to ask it anonymously and have that conversation without it being awkward.
Yes.
Hey, there's nothing off limits. We've answered everything from sex to money to alcohol to tattoos to all that kinds of stuff. So, use that link at www.theremnant.life/real-talk, and you can do that anonymously. I promise you guys, it's truly anonymous. We cannot find you. Also, please continue to like this video if you're watching on social media. Subscribe to us if you're on YouTube or any of your podcast formats. If you're watching via Facebook, please like and comment, interact with us. We love that, guys. I promise you. We see it and we love it, and it makes this show feel more organic and more like we're really having a conversation.
That's right.
Thank you so much for your encouragement. For those of you that do take the time to comment and let us know that you're listening and watching, please like, comment, share this video. Man, put a little blurb up at the top about what caught your attention. Maybe it's like election, check it. It doesn't matter. Grumpy guys, whatever you want to put, just like, comment, and share. The more engagement, that's what that's called. The more likes and comments and shares we get, the more people it reaches. And like he said, man, we are just so blessed because of your guys' help that we're reaching a lot of people, and it's really having an impact. If you are on Facebook and you want to check it out, you can go like the church's page as well. We send a lot of stuff out there at the Remnant Church of Whitley County. You can type that into your Facebook. It's got a fancy looking R. Give us a like and a follow. We would love that. Also, if you're listening via podcast and you want maybe some sermons from our church, if you like what you hear as far as thoughts, you can type in the Remnant Church, right?
Yep.
Just the Remnant Church. That has its own podcast channel, and you can listen to all our messages. We're in the middle of a risque
heresy.
Yeah, a risque series right now called Heresy. You can go check out the first 2 episodes of that. First 2 messages in that series, and we have our last one coming up this week. So please continue to pray for us, guys. We need it so much, both for our church, for Real Talk, but also individually. We need it.
Absolutely.
But other than that, I think that's about it. We love you guys. We appreciate you. We hope you have a great day, and we mean this. God bless you.